All right, welcome. So for the last couple days, I've been talking about the Olight Warrior Mini, and I noticed that as I was going, I was discovering new things. So it feels like the videos were kind of disjointed. So I want to put everything we know about what the issue is and why and how Olight is responding to it all in one video in a nice clean format. So if you wanted to get everything you wanted to know about what's going on with this, and it's not a recall-esque event, but it's something that you should definitely be aware of. Okay, let's talk about it. So stick around and you can get the full spiel here in this video. Of course, this is the Olight Warrior Mini. Okay, now there has been a lot of talk about this light in particular turning on in its turbo mode, right, when you don't want it to. And I am of the impression that it's not because the button itself is getting pressed all the way in. It's actually a tripping action that's happened because the contacts behind the button are actually being tripped. This is actually part of an important feature built into the lights that have these three-prong systems. All the tactical lights designed for taking the cabled switch platform by Olight can have this happen. So it's not just the Warrior Mini that has this. The difference is that the Warrior Mini is probably the first one with that tail switch that also is designed to fit comfortably in your pocket. This is the same length as the Baton Pro, so it's something that people absolutely can and do carry in their pockets. So this was an unusual combination of things that happened, and yeah, and here we are. So first off, let's demonstrate first of all where we are. So okay, we're in the other mode. So hold on. So there are two different mode sets for the Warrior Mini. This is the first one, and you'll notice that when we trip it, it's going to put it into turbo and actually keep it on. Okay, so this is what's happened. You notice I didn't press the button in, but yet now I have full access to turbo, and it is at its maximum power. Okay, see that? Okay, so that is what's happening. So pieces of metal are getting in contact with that piece, and they're turning on the light. This is also possible in the alternate mode. I was told initially that this would not be the case, but I have been able to do it myself, so I know that's not the case. But the difference is that in this alternate mode, the moment the piece of metal comes off, it will stop, and the mode that will be selected is, in fact, the strobe mode, because the strobe mode is what happens when you fully press versus half press. And I'm sorry, I apologize for all the flashing. I'll probably put a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. So that's what's occurring, and all of this can be solved with the same thing. And I mentioned in my very first long video about powerful flashlights that lockout mode is a very important feature that you need to be using when you have high powered flashlights, because if you carry them in your pocket, you can absolutely start a fire with them, melt them, that kind of thing. There's a lot of possibilities for that. In the high-powered flashlight video, I talked about how unprotected batteries have a much higher discharge, therefore generating a lot more heat. So this one, actually, reason it generates so much heat is not because it has an unprotected battery, but because its LED is so efficient at generating light. It's a single emitter. It's actually generating quite a bit of heat. So there is some general user, things you have to do with these lights. So lockout mode, once again, if you don't already know and you have a Warrior Mini, is you hold press, you'll get that mode to turn on and then turn off. Once that has turned off, the flashlight is now locked, and no matter what you do from the tail switch, nothing will happen. In order to get it out, you simply wait till it turns on, and now you have access to your flashlight again. For most people who are familiar with these high-powered flashlights, this is actually a pretty normal occurrence, just like putting the safety on your gun. It becomes rote. You learn how to do that. But it wasn't immediately apparent, because when you're talking about something like the S2R2, this is not something that is occurring. Even though it has a magnetic tail cap, it will not do this because this was not set up to be used with the tactical cable switch that is designed for these platforms. Now, what is Olight doing for this? So they have been amazing, honestly. The only thing I will criticize them is that they should have made their announcement more broad so more people saw it, probably putting it on their website as well, at least under the sections where it says Warrior Mini. That's the only critique I really have, because what they've chosen to do is actually quite generous and cost them a lot of money. Even though this is everything working as intended, the combination is concerning to people because of the way they're carrying it. So they've come up with a couple of different ways that they've solved that. They're going to be developing a silicone cap that will fit over top of the back and still allow you to press the button, but will prevent the contacts from actually being tripped in any situation. So that will allow you to keep it in its unlocked form and still get access and not have to worry about the issue that is happening. The other thing that will do is it will also be able to be put on the front and become a diffuser. That's actually kind of a neat feature and something that I've really liked. And because of the way it's designed, it's actually quite compact. So it actually could be very cool. In addition to that, they're also giving an O bulb. Both of these things will be given to those people who have decided to keep the Warrior Mini. Now, if you decide that this is too much of a risk, you don't like that, you don't want to do the extra uh, step of locking out your thing and you just want some simple light, I don't know. Some people are like that, and some people like it more complicated. They've made an option available to you as well. They're willing to refund your entire purchase. You need to communicate that directly with Olight, and that's a lot of work on their part, by the way. They have also stopped selling them to make sure that they can get a hold of the situation. And I gotta say, I'm very impressed with how they are handling this, by the way. For me personally, I have no interest in selling this light. In my opinion, based on what I now know about this, it's basically working as intended, but the combination of features is creating a problem. Maybe in the future iterations, they won't make this capable of working with the cable switch. But the problem is, if you do that, this will no longer be usable for a gun platform, which is why it kind of has that tail cap in the first place. So it's kind of a give and take. If you try to fix this problem, there's a possibility that the current cable switch and that tactical platform will no longer work. So you kind of have to make that decision. There's a couple. So for you, here's the three decisions. You keep it, you use lockout mode, you never worry about it again. You keep it, you get the diffuser and O bulb, which by the way you're going to get if you keep it no matter what, or you can return it. And those are all good options. It's probably more options than most of us are given when things like this happen. So do yourself a favor, get a hold of Olight and start that process if it's something that you want to do. For me personally, I'm pretty happy with this light. It does exactly what I expect it to do. This one thing about the metal touching it is something I'm glad I'm aware of now, but is not going to stop it from being one of the best flashlights I've ever used in reality. And the reason for that has a lot to do with just it's the right size. It's got the right features. Would I wish it didn't trip and do that? Would I wish, personally, I'm never going to use that gun platform setup. So for me, I would love to see it not, even be capable of having this happen. But in the meantime, I'm also perfectly content with all the other things that they're doing for it. And lockout is very, very intuitive for me. It's something I do all the time when it's in my pocket. So I'm not really all that concerned. But I wanted to make this video and kind of put it all together so that you guys could see what was going on. And there's been a number of other videos comparing this to the other lights that have this tail switch setup. So you can see in the demonstration that it is in fact a common thing because of that cable switch that they designed for it to be used. It's honestly, it's nothing faulty with the hardware here. It's just a combination of features that in the pocket as is causing unforeseen issues. So I would call this a pretty well recognized and quick response from Olight, and I'm very, very impressed by that. But I hope this is informative to you and that now you can make a decision on what you would like to do with your Olight Warrior Mini. So you guys have a good one.